Thank you very much. Thank you, John, wherever you may be. I hope you are feeling well. That was a very kind and attentive introduction and saves me some time in terms of introducing the very books that I'll be reading from. I'm going to read excerpts from my 3 most recent works and then also from a forthcoming book. And I'm going to start with Gender City. Gender City is the follow-up to Tomorrowland. So Tomorrowland was very much a set of passages and transmigrations, and Gender City is the establishment of that city, whatever that city might be, once you get there. I'm going to read from a section. This is a book-length poem, so it's all one sweep, but it's in 9 sections. I'm going to read from the section called Blood on the Tracks. The man insisted nature was a plague invented by visitors to stake the land by difference through thick age. Listen to it, wag the wind by hair fallen down, the young you tending with your legs, the shiny suppositions of what's said on the swell. Listen to it, the plates mended temporarily by magma's silent ardor. The total absence of your mouth is wise to me, pleased to meet you, fastly walking ravaged with soft cloths, even when the best that all experience catch can. Her hand flew across their gentle malnutritions. We could kiss truism, flan, succulent, bees on our tongues, lured there by Alps. The eye holes patched with curfew and quite vague. Code city we are swatched in that tick-tick wrangled on the bayside sand egregious, and she caught a willful fire next the fine alternatives of Weymouth, Camden, Vernal, and as the lady going out the legs committed to this freight, lifted gainly for the manly cordiality, we plug in with our flashy calisthenics. The heirlooms fast transmitted these keyed runes. I know you can make it to the next cave, though water rushes in quite regular to check your breathy appetitics, your soft apologies, wholly in my ear some version of yourself you cannot be. The whole soft city groaning in rank apology, your sweet body tending the clouds and tress, enamored of your task, fingers fly, dew descending, your ideas crossed against, now wrought, now tuck your arms in one direction and your head in the other. Sleep will come. The rearrangement of your molecules to fine-tuned appositives, your literals quite as sure as these ones. The brain's inside the tight box of the head, squirming like a baby dying to get out. The heart depends on darkness, darkness, ticking out the syllables of the fingers, click like footsteps gathering hard beneath them to define the eye's perimeters. The tongue of language pushes out the periscope that licks your face with understanding, while the body swivels all its instruments toward you, and we start. Dear co-soul, how do you relate to the ulterior motives of our fleshly city? Dear one, rate the harboring of fugitive angst sailors, whose every swale's intention motes around the curfew of your boat. Dear implement, your arms and legs astound the water spider out of hiding as a farmed one. Dear your bare legs stammering out of where the delicate mothers kept you near, the stern ones not delete. The stern ones kept you near by proof. The boat careens its naked lines and bounce off straight, allegiances whose colors mark, whose ends collude your torsos lush and rude? Don't answer yet. The jury's out. It's hiding in the leaves and frets. It's keeping the pianos wet. It's drying out the trees with ire and shucking pyramidal fire. All over city's tinder ale we swig and barter wails. We try our heat and fancy make our sails of mother's hair. Narrow chasm stuck inside of mobile phone's permission. Bunkhouse doorway where I wait for you, never again surprised. That place where your legs and mine watched the movie of our fate, while musebirds and the chimes played thoughtfully. Semaphores, the least known catacombs you're walking through, set pieces, modernes, the actants, all a twitter smell of smoke, hungering for soundtracks from one coast to the next. It's all about the listeners. Do you hear? About this time, the overlay of law on skin was very pleased to greet you. About this time of truth on guess. We hadn't made the map yet on the dove flesh of her very streets, whose treats were gliding honey over lips on tandem eyes and windows licked. We hadn't named on streets whose glides were narrow or serene or barely curving toward the water not foreseen. We'd buried, though, the fundamental liquid of its creasing water down to water resist us. Still, we had the guesses, but not the thrill of skimming off the warehouse air that rises from the buried water seeping. We'll start to talk in images, each word upon the ground restrut, since roads are pyramids and buildings breathe like habits rusted up. The bridges built of bones we tend, the beaches bones ground fine. Since we of water, dark and pulsing eyes are inward firmly trenched. So violence starts honestly. It seeks to reach the body's serious attention withal, the gall of living coming over the divide between your word, the sign installed, the barrier of your skin, whose breach will prove the violencer's might, conveyance through of meaning's total potency. You can no longer deny, though delivery is totalized in the conveyance. Unfortunately, that bridge once crossed can never sculpt again, until another body's regions are pronounced with perfect accents plunged into the special corpus of a devoted listener, the teller's rage to plunder having reached the limits John Locke meekly hoped for. That's the gift the murderer gives himself, but only once, compared to which the land's docility and mute and fragrant mirth dumbs down the licking of the fiery tongue of man's desire for total hooking up. You see, we have a task at hand, a city built of argument, explicit for its metal shires, replaceable like brick-front cars, but smoothed and succored with the wares we bring from offerings cognate tears. No roses, no, nor doves we are, but writ it is with stars, with stars. Now I'm going to read from Wild Dialectics, which is a collection of individuated poems. I could talk about Wild Dialectics if you want. It was a kind of a coup de foudre title that came to me right at the end of the amassing of this text, and then I realized it was an argument that I needed to make in essay form, so I started to do that. Peephole Metaphysics. You might recognize that as one of the 158 subtitled sections of Theodore Adorno's book, Negative Dialectics. Listening for you, listening notes for right to seek up futures as a buffer against permanence. Can you make actuality not a matter of argument? I'm Surrey, I'm political, ready to drag down, changeable as the crew people, jumping into small boats showing their interest without necessary attributes to be hot, so hot. Sirrah, listening to the heart boats bombing. Are you new to the names amidst your hectares? Get along. New to your improves on several hats. Beside the year's tasted aperture months, ready to open, pour in, astonished to discover mouths underneath the boats, craggy as fashionable, creamy, broody belts, in range, out of range. The edges of the heart mouths totally unsteady, drama groovy, coming along. Worth trying to sell our inherited personalities for settlement. When people came here, they planted themselves in utterly familiar and hills coming along at the edges of the heart mouths, planting the recognizable in water at the moment, falling through the atlas trope, sway, comprehensive, for another album of highlights. Everybody getting a little something, a tiny mouthful louche over the skin of the teeth, a point especially clear when terms of value broken across. The example becomes clear, a like simple economy of scale, transient as the top blend came on, a simple feat hot off the head as hundreds rippled like scales, real as existence marbles, tottling on the edges of the sight, kept at it fully every rim, consistent, turning square to diamante, pusher, folly, coming along saying, flask as catskin, blueberry, rich or cast, is it what you expectation frag there? Slightly animistic with an absolute forearm, or what it means to compromise with cultural life as you make room, stead, skull-digger, in a roaring mind, the trophy on your head, your own juggy code out at the stuck late skin in show. I often kilter or a separately repeated to see how it changes a man with a fixed expression and plastics, a cast as what you expectation frag there, yes. I'll read one other poem from this book, but it's a poem I've actually scored. And if I were home, I would use my viola for this with its sound hole, but in the absence of that, I have a traveling thing. This is called a spring drum, and it travels very well. I'm kind of doing that on purpose, but I'm setting up my pages. Okay, this poem is called Subrosa, and it's a bit longer. In the cleft we hid, forthcoming, the certainty of someone who wants in the door, bursting through with his shoulder, the airy certitude, the paper he waves in front of your face, the whistle, the comment, the arc placed in front of your eyes, the handle on the door, reaction, torso, turned your way when you don't want it. The singing women made of water. The genius for replication, the line, rash element, what we had said for us broken over our back skin, seeking the closed eyes. Under the umbrella we could speak. For that fighting is the same thing as the mouth ready to unhand you, chimes and southerly. We can handle this, we can order among the asses. The girl hides agile with her mimicry fragile and eyes stalled on your heavenly dimensions. What do you do when the door is heaving forward and the trompe zone, the ice bomb, we see it lobbed over our shoulders, the ice bomb lobbed over our chance, participating in the small slice of crap heaven in which they talk defeat. The bin is ready. The bin is ready. We are climbing into it. Idi Amin, Guy Lombardo, singing near us, singing with portents, ready to translate us into our own certitude. We got door handles. We got you. Ideation by the breath. Eating your crumbles, very sure. Now you tank with substance. You are ready for your nomenclature blues. You are signing us so pretty, flagellant, abrasive, sure of what the back skin. Take it, no, give it, no, take it. Stop, you're so cute, the way you cut. The vinyl of your skin is so altruistic, made for magical cultures. Sure, your crap ballistics are made for it. Okay, vas-y, allocated for it everywhere. Okay, my nose is running with desire, the cumulative breach, two-ness, the line running midbrain and broken at the same time. It sutures your future. Blanked out for it, ready for it, in noise, the soft beak probing noise, the talky nose, the featured symbol, the break. We turn from each other to turn. We read to each other, speakingly. The soft face scorched to tribe, the soft voice reaching somewhere it doesn't see, it does. See, you are the wren in the bell tower. The soft flesh in the car door, the brain tissue cupping out the bowl of the head onto street zones, paving them with the measurement we were looking for. We have found you, embarked, a pained expression, a cup, a hard table called a desk, a warrant waiting, a check, this speaking voice, a broken wage earner. All you people, come here under my wing, come here to speak to me. Tell your own story of authentic demolition. The side of your body has slipped down and your loading is taking patience to wait, a fricassee to wait, while door and window have no similar patience, getting closer, trailing us. Your eyes, your throat, it's getting close to your aggregate thigh, your trombone stretching out, you're stretching out, the cha-cha-cha. We are in it, we agree, the best way. You're in it, you know. Damply, configured with the small blood declining out of you, the transport of admonitory factories, the dishes plastered one after the other in front of the wall where you stick your head to breathe and eat and breathe. The vesper is inside you. It declines your eyes of mastery. It, the speaking head of the same portent, telling you again, again the dull yes, the dull no. The building over there, are you here in the car, held again, transfixed by the diatribe, giving it up, giving it in. The sky is purple slightly, is a roseate marble, stuck deep in your eyes. Replacing your ocular throws, you understood what the color said to you. thrust in your eyes about the 5-minute mark. You amazing marbled toward the wall of the sky, amazing marbled toward the wall. You heard it sound a thumping dull maze, meant the thumping dull sound so sure of itself against the roseate marble wall thrown inside your skin, way inside your torso is thrown against itself from within. So prettily effective, it wants to get to know the face you threw on, the face you made by the roseate hues of the inventory. Your eyes clicking one by one as the round scent of the rolling wall goes longer, louder, there and there, chimes, oscillations, slow and marbled eyes peeking up and out, de-storied and ready, the edge of the country looking up slowly, rolling like a house toward your idea, rolling like a house toward your idea. I just had to throw the papers. I couldn't, no podium. Well, there is a piece, but it's like for design. Okay. Now I'm going to read. How you doing? Good. So I was going to read 2 sections from Anti-M, but then I thought I should only do 1 so we could end in time, because I'm going to read from my forthcoming book as well. So I think I'll just read from 1 section of Anti-M. So Anti-M is, anti-memoir, the introduction, pretty much let you know what it's about. The cover, that's a photo of me at a rock concert, those rock concerts that you used to go to, with one of the kiddies there. It's a work of omitted prose. I wrote it and I revised it. And it's an experimental memoir of childhood up to the age of 16. And then I took out most of the words, and then when I had done that, it, I hope, became the kind of imagination machine I want it to be. I'm going to read, there's 3 epigraphs. I'm going to read 1 epigraph just because it's so beautiful. It's from Bernard of Clairvaux, who wasn't always a nice guy, but this is from On Conversion in 1140. How can I forget my own life? Take a thin piece of poor quality parchment which has soaked up the ink with which the scribe has written on it. Can any skill erase it? It is not merely superficially colored. The ink is ingrained. It would be pointless for me to try to clean it. The parchment would tear before the marks of wretchedness were removed. Forgetting would perhaps destroy the memory itself, so that in a mental convulsion I should cease to remember what I had done. We must ask then, what keen edge can both clean my memory and keep it intact? Only the living and effective word, which is sharper than a 2-edged sword. So I'm going to do an experiment with this reading. I made CDs out of my 2009 book, Tomorrowland, with accompanying soundscapes, and I've laid down all the audio tracks for this book. So I'm just beginning the process of imagining the soundscapes. I'm going to play my own reading of Chapter 6, and also read contrapuntally with that. Actually, could you just push play at the moment? Sure. Just push that arrow right there. Just in a moment.
All right, you signal me.
I will. So this is Chapter 6, called Coop or Co-op.
6.
Co-op. I rest with other piece, a pinprick, stopped in Reno, south, girls, somehow off, or other. A great car, strangely bare, simply, I rest. To a mountain, valley, with a full, having some idea, south, 1 or 2 girls. Connecting doors, painted in buckets, headaches from the Blueberry Theater. To belly dance, a little guilt, a kind of body, theater, dancing, hot blueberry. A pretty California night as several to belly dance, hip slung, young, destroyed in the several. A bar,
of our some
Albuquerque,
vested Albuquerque
to stand and
knew
up
to stand and
Taos,
fellow
covers of his
Taos,
theater,
stage,
sunstroke,
covers of his
shiver.
machine.
The clear
To
corral,
take that
they
theater,
tightened the
sunstroke
horse
out of
in that
shiver and
back
sweat,
shed.
a tar roof,
The
fell
job
asleep, the clear
tabernacle
corral, or
built
Wes abandoned.
a tar roof. The clear
They
corral,
tightened the horse behind a row
in that back goat,
shoveling
the job
the little round shed
into a pile.
into a pile.
Isolation,
The job
animal,
tabernacle
ferocity, dry,
built a double
built a double
on
wood,
top of
hunger,
isolation.
all rather
Ferocity,
wandered
dry,
down to
hunger. They
field and
all
played,
rather wandered down
field,
to
mountains along that
field and played.
unfinished
The field
people.
mountains along that
I don't
house.
possessed
Who played
desirable
unfinished corridors
sense
adjacent.
corral,
We went, they gave.
absence,
They were.
we
at
were
home, as
substance,
horses
giving
possessed,
reserve
desirable, with
to keep
something
atmosphere.
across the small
We
corral.
were
A ranch
involved
belonged
with
to
a
one
level.
of absence.
giving wild
We were atmosphere.
sense,
We were involved with substance, a level
giving to keep a good
reserved
job of
us
days once we passed each
a
other
good job of days.
on the table.
Once we passed each other.
Funny
we
4-year
had more fashioning
index,
on the table.
constraining drag
Funny little 4-year
for our play
index.
treatment, being
We
of
were no
sufficient
longer constraining
result.
drag for our play.
out there once,
Being of
Sean
sufficient
sleeping,
to the
how
result
I
of
know
the corral.
around him,
Out there had been
as cold
comfortable.
day
Yes,
pinned
Sean.
the shed, a
Sleeping,
dollar,
how I know, as
walked around,
this
finally,
day pinned
absence,
around him. The shed walked
to pay
town
one of the
for
sheds
$1,
for
walked
storing
around,
profitable
finally, absence.
result.
To pay one of the sheds for storing
After that, himself by a man could hear,
himself by only a
and
man
tab, this
exact
whole,
could hear.
since I left, approximately
After that,
2
and tab,
stayed
this whole
with
New Mexico.
blame. An older have
Since I left,
New Mexico.
approximately
I,
I
since I left, I
tab,
think
to
approximately
stay and
I,
pay with blame.
it would have
rubbed,
construed,
construed,
behave,
a young
he gave
behave,
a dissociation from Louis XIV.
He gave
The rough
a dissociation
horse
from the
was
blue
good,
sides of Louis XIV.
ever very
The sides
expensive,
pulling through
speak
the rough bark of a tree.
not nullified,
The horse
imagine,
was a good, ever
in so
tremendous.
really
The gate was a
streets of obvious,
part of very
you.
expensive help.
in so thrill me with
Of not
you,
undoing, in
the world
so
makes, speak
nullifying,
no more,
imagine,
double, closely,
throwing
of the
really
Taos
parading
drums,
streets of obvious
loose circle,
you.
strange,
The world makes
liking it,
speak no more,
some
double,
ways,
seeing
closely played pure
closely
nature
the
of
Taos
obvious thrill,
drums, loose
nullified, beautifully
played
expensive,
pure nature, strange,
what
liking
keys,
in some ways,
breath,
not what keys, breath,
watch, hold, I even
not
reach
panic,
into,
prevents her
surprisingly, not
not even
her,
reach and hold,
into offer
into
enough
surprisingly,
permission
offer enough
to go,
permission to
fortune,
go.
I
Fluid
even reach,
fortune.
prevents,
Responses full of mercy,
plunged right
plunged
in.
right in.
So that was kind of weird, huh? It was very intense to do, actually. All right, one more thing that I'm going to read from. This is an experimental novel coming out next year with Dusie Press, which is a US press, Susanna Gardner's. And the inciting event for this novel, which is called Tender Girl, is in the Conte de l'Aotearoa, Les Chants de Maldoror, about 1868, there's a scene in which the eponymous hero copulates with a female shark in the frenzied seas of a shipwreck off of the Atlantic coast. So I imagine that a daughter was born from that coupling, and she comes out of the ocean and crosses the land of the father over a period of time. And she learns to speak, and she learns about sex and jobs and violence and pregnancy and art. And I'm going to read 3 subtitled sections from this last half of the book, when she's become a little bit more comprehensible and she's doing her art. Coloring. Below, she is a cleft in time, the red gobs plopping from her vaginal innards into the toilet bowl, falling heavily the size of plums, figs, rosettes, red skin almond droppings, the intense sheen of the water, heaving carmine red, gypsy red, the droplets like a canvas marking red up to the sides, her hands covered with red, the goblets on the paper, taking them over to the art room by the canvas, painting them, painting with them. What will it do to the consistency? She has on her black underwear, nothing else, the shades up high on the upper floor and no one else to see. She is walking back to the toilet room every half an hour, the giblets shooking out of her and down. She has a sizable collection. The paint is beginning not to sit the same way on the sliding canvas that she tilted backward to hold it still. She would caution it with shellac. She would mortalize the damn thing. What are the names in the solid, soft, pliant figs of gentle red siding made inside her? Artery, vein, submission, priapus, resilience, clandestine modeling of the naked self in front of the mirror to be the model she couldn't afford, the sloping down of the backwater, condemnation, holding up her head, the black squares of the netting over the mirror, to give perspective, a catchment, the net her offspring fell through, estuary, ovarian, drainage fluid all around the air, seeping into her and out, the little holes for breathing, fallible and open, the canvas as the organ she grows. She picks up the phone, she calls her friend, come over and see. No, give me a minute, give me half an hour. It's raining again, the dull ground hopes. Clandestine, the brush clotting on the mat. You bury the remains gently under the tree where you can see them when you leave for the first time and the last, and then return, reloop, return. Converse. See how that line is streaking across the medial arrangement you have set up with the recessed paint? Yes, I think I do. Well, you need to move that line because it is distracting to the viewer who prepares himself for a particular journey across the board. Oh, okay. You see, you need to move that line because you have simulated a setup that is to the advantage of the interloper, the one entering from the left, because of course that is the direction we go in Western art. You have read that in your studies. Yes. Good, well, see how the line moves in 3 directions simultaneously at this point, and it isn't a goddamn palm we're looking at. I mean, you're not a soothsayer, right? Right, well, we could debate that. So the line that is uppermost has the quotient of sensate judgment. That one, there, in the middle, has a kind of journey quality. And the bottom one, there, it's the one we associate with not quite knowing what the work is up to, right? I guess you could say that. You could see it that way. So then this is the line, this one here, that you need to make the thickest one, the one that posits the dominant strain of the work, because the viewer, they're going to be back about here, right? And they're going to need to know which line is the most important one to follow with their eyes. You'll often see that in the movement of spectators' bodies at the openings, the way it takes almost a consistent amount of time for them to cross the visual field of a particular work. Well, they are looking for the dominant line, and here, right here, is your chance. Open door. This is the last section I'm going to read. Meditation. What is that? Girl granted. She sits still looking at an intense wall, the grains of whose painting revealed a saturated depth her eyes' unaccustomed seawalls could not stop. The partitions of granules into tiny crusted particle waves upon whom the eye could not linger. She decides Ramsay is like the sunfish she has known, turned on its side up at the surface for cleaning by the birds, a plucked assortment of pores and veins, a huge thing in the water, letting that thought go, letting it go. One could pull the parasites out slowly so they wouldn't break. Best for the sunfish she has known, let that one go, let it go. Bring another image of Ramsay lolling at the break, the sun visiting his outline like a fish, the birds gently eating to help everyone let go. Ramsay was a kind guarder of his own life works that were unmanifest as a whole let go. The mind must falter toward release. Breathe in the dry. Let out your water in the air. Breathe. Alchemy wished to make gold out of base metals, a change for the water of life, aqua vitae. She stroked on the walk over here a stone, a lapis matter morphing lovely blue philosophorum, like the back wall of her eyes when water was all round letting go. let go. Matter, matter, the wall gentle, the air half infused with water for her demi-lungs. That one-time fabric, the wet opportunity, let go. The wall was illuminating the inside of her skull, redder and philosophical, let go. The soft hand inside her own, the tree in which she'd lived, the inner part of the branches so bent down. Phileas, the lovely woman who made silver jewelry under the moon, let go. That non-specific knowledge inside, out. She put salt on everything she ate, but creamy things that were like the cloudy bodies gathering, see, letting go, let go. The sun shone down on one part of the dark water. You understood that was subject to separation. One's swimming techniques, bringing one around the curve, the moon, the burning after a bite, let go. Her whole mind is the Dead Sea floating, for which the image of the ruined lake is like a mirror held against the flesh, let go. Lovely year, ears trembling. The perfect and the broken are the same, let go. The wall looks on in tender solitude. The moisture is streaming out of her body. Thank you.